Okay, we are here currently. See, hopefully we're getting good pickup here.
Yeah.
My friend Guido.
What's up,
Guido,
man?
how's it going?
Doing pretty good.
What we're gonna do today is hopefully get a bunch of good information out of you about what you do, where you come from. I guess let's start with a little bit of your history. I want to know, your first influences in music, first.
Now, when I was a kid, my brother had a friend, or still has a friend, I guess, named Ricky, and he was playing the drums, and he was playing the drums with his hands crossed over, and I was mesmerized that this guy was playing drums with his hands crossed over. So that was my first earliest, I guess, memory and influence that I was thinking I have to learn to play drums with my hands crossed over, not knowing that everybody was actually playing like this to begin with. Nobody really plays like this. And then I learned how to play drums. Like my dad got me a drum kit, and then the first thing I was basically doing that for 10 days until the neighbor said, could you please stop it? And then my mom told me you need to learn a new instrument, so she got me on clarinet lessons. So I started playing clarinet a lot until around when I was 13 years old, and then I tried to play drums with my clarinet, ended up breaking the clarinet. And
You mean actually beating the drum with your clarinet?
I actually, yeah. Yeah, no, I was meant to be a drummer. And then my mom was like, all right, you should play some drums. My brother was always, always had musician friends, and he was is a multi-instrumentalist, and eventually he got into a DAW when I was around 14, 15, or 13, something around there with E-Magics.
And how old are you now?
Cubase. I'm now 33.
So that's how many years?
Well, that's like 20 years.
20 years of music experience.
Well, yeah, if you don't
drumming
count,
since then, right?
Yeah, well, if you don't, from 4 I was drumming, so
Jesus.
If you don't count that crap, then well, the more serious stuff was more when I was like 25,
right,
26. Not before that, I was just messing about.
Okay, and first, I guess, because everybody can see this insanity, where are we?
We are next to the Amstel River, which is the south of Amsterdam, and the Amstel River runs through that. So when you go there, you'll know it. And we are in Uithoorn, in an industrial area. That's where the studio is located. So yeah, it's a bit out of the way, but it's nice because you never have complaining neighbors or anything like that. So.
And then this particular location is not owned by you.
No.
But you conduct all of your business and services out of the studio.
Pretty much, yeah.
What is the name of your business that you run out of here?
My business personally is the CatAndBeats services that I provide.
Right. And
currently we're slowly building something else, but that's still
in the works. In the works,
yeah.
Talk about that potentially later.
Potentially.
I want to know more about CatAndBeats.
Oh yeah. What do you want to know?
First the name. For anybody who doesn't know, CatAndBeats is his YouTube channel. It's how I understand how you got your foothold in the whole. It's basically what started your popularity.
Yeah, it started as a joke, to be really honest. I was coming from a pretty shit place because I was working at another studio and I had a lot of bad shit happen to me. And then I was sitting at home with the Ableton Push, and the guy I was working for said, you need to get good at one thing, and then you'll probably make it in the music business, but otherwise, you should get another job. And then I was just like, fuck, So I was pretty shit out of work, and I had the Ableton Push in front of me, and I started playing. And now a big shout out to my Joseph March. He basically said to me, he's one of my first subscribers, why don't you do some music theory on a push? And that got me the first popularity. And my cat was sitting there, and I was like, okay, I need a YouTube name, so I'll just CatAndBeats. And I never thought it would actually end up paying my bills. That's about it, though. It doesn't really do anything else. But
because those are your first videos that you have up there.
Yeah.
Or your push chord progression.
Chord progressions, yeah, because the guy, Joseph, wanted to know about chord progression, so I was like, oh, okay. And never knowing that Ableton would share that stuff. I mean, I was just, just talking, like, in my room without a good mic, without anything.
Oh, hold on. So Ableton actually...
Yeah. Posted it.
Forwarded your or
Yeah.
posted this on their Facebook page or something.
Yeah. On their Ableton website.
Right.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I didn't know this until like a year and a half later, when somebody told me, "Hey, dude, you're on the Ableton." I'm like, "What?
No
way! Like, is it me? Oh man, I shouldn't be on there."
That's good luck, man.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So I understand that your CatAndBeats website, or you have a website.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give them the website name.
CatAndBeats.com.
CatAndBeats.com. Your reverse engine. This is something that I really have found to be something that has improved my game. Is the idea of reverse engineering.
Yeah.
Can you give me a couple 2 cents on what that is for you and how that has made you who you are?
It started out frustration, honestly. Like when I had this artist that was just coming up at that time called Flying Lotus, and I just did not understand how he was getting his sound. So it was just mind-boggling, and I couldn't figure it out, and it was just, making me quite frustrated. So I just sat myself down in front of the computer, not to learn the program, because that's not the point, but to learn to listen and to learn how he did it. So it was like a puzzle that I was trying to unravel with my ears, and that's what I did. And then eventually,
was there a particular sound? Was there one?
It was his the way he mixed and mastered it. That was the sound. Not he didn't mix and master it. He created the beat, but there was just so much wrong with it that it was right, and I couldn't, like, everything you learn doesn't, apply to certain things. Like, the theory didn't work with the practice, so it drove me nuts, and I had to figure it out. And that's kind of, then eventually people wanted to actually see what I was doing, because the sound was pretty good. And then I started deciding, like, there must be more artists that people just can't figure out, like Burial and Kato and XXYYXX. There's not that many reverse engineered things, because generally speaking, as soon as I do one, then I get a whole flock of people trying to ask me to help them with their song.
But so the just so you guys know, there's a bunch of reverse engineered tracks that he has on his, in fact, channel that you can totally check out. I believe you play them through after they're basically done.
Yeah, no, I play it through first, and then I share what it is that really struck me the most out of the whole track. So, for instance, you have Carmack, which he makes relatively simple tracks, but his arrangements are so beautifully complex that I love it, So there's, like, as soon as you did the track, and then you go back to the part where, like, at the puzzle, you have that aha moment, I share that part. That's always the thing.
What was the Carmack aha moment?
Carmack aha moment came from in the middle of the track. I was in the middle of the track, and the sounds and stuff, that was all relatively okay to do, but it was the way he was pitching his the vocals of Jay-Z, because he did a remix, and then I was remixing those vocals again, and then when I took a step back to let it sit, and then listen again, and then looking at the track, I was like, oh, this is absolutely not how I normally see project files coming in. This is completely fresh. He's cutting it up and making it nice. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, DJs with two turntables, but not with the buttons.
Right.
Like the DJ craze. It's like the DJ craze of beat productions, in a way. I guess that, like, for me, that made sense that way. And when I saw it, I was like, oh man, this is awesome.
So I want to clarify. So beat matching, mixing, like, in one track.
Cutting it up in one track.
Like, it seemed like he was going from one section of drums into a different section.
No, it's like every 2 bars, he was cutting up the vocals in a different way.
Right.
But it's not annoying, but everything kept flowing, but it wasn't like glitch hop.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that would be every whatever bar or something. So, so it's just nice, man. I just appreciated the what he put in.
So you have X amount of tracks that you've done reverse engineer style. What would lead you to choose a particular song to do? Was it, ooh, I hear this, I want to know how they do it, and then you did it? Or was it people then saying, I want you to do this song, or I want you to do this song.
Yeah, it's a mix of both. It's like as soon as I hear a track that I don't know how to do, or I don't know what it is. Like Galimatias is one I'm working on now. Well, whenever I have a little bit of time, if it frustrates me, then I know I'm on a good track, because I know that if I reverse engineer something that I don't understand, then I'm going to learn something out of it. But if I reverse engineer to something that's easy, then
See, this is a gem, guys. If you listen to that, you guys are going to learn. If you don't understand how something works, and then you take the time to actually understand it, the amount of knowledge that you can obtain from just deconstructing something from the ground up, piece by piece, total wealth of information. And I learned that from him. So proof is in my pudding, you could say. I guess other things that I want to know about, and aside from your reverse engineering, what other work are you doing besides redoing projects for people?
It's not that I redo the projects. I'm slowly getting... for me, the proof is in the pudding is definitely one thing, but the proof is in the mixing most of the time, and in the music theory, and in arrangements, and in the mastering. But
but first things first.
Yeah, first things first. So for me, it's like I get a project from somebody, and they ask me, "Could you mix and master it, and could you make it sound a little bit more like that artist?" And then they name an artist, and then generally speaking, I'll tell them that preferably you should stick to yourself and your own, what you are good at. It's like, you can't be Skrillex, you can't be, because that somebody's already doing that. You need to be fresh yourself. So then instead I'll take their reference tracks, and I'll mix and match these two artists together, so that eventually there's a unique sound that is only the producer's sound that asked me to work for him. It's basically mixing. So that's what I do a lot. And then there's documentary work, and slowly getting into advertising work, and fashion shows, which is fun. Sometimes
fashion shows.
Yep, fashion shows.
This is something I also wanted to touch on. You don't see yourself as a big DJ kind of guy.
Nope.
But yet you find yourself, and I'm using air quotes, DJing fashion shows.
Oh God!
Can you just give me it's pretty funny. I think it's worth talking about. Give me your technique and a basic rundown of what you do for these shows.
Well, fashion is a beast on its own, and I got into it because my wife, she's a fashion designer, and her ex-boss from a while ago asked me, "Can you do the music for my show?" I don't DJ. Like I'm not attractive. Like I'm not a good-looking guy that likes to. Yeah, I think so. I like being like in a dark room and just being left alone.
Right.
That's my
semi-introverted.
Relatively,
right.
I'm not really that guy. But I've DJ'd in the past, and it was fun. But I'm just not the guy for it. But anyway, regardless, the fashion show intrigued me because you weren't allowed to mess up. And everything around you was gonna mess up. So you're gonna have to figure out a way to make sure that nothing goes wrong.
So this is a mess up, like a model
falling, or the designer saying, "Listen, that one song that we have in here that you've been working a week on to make sure that nothing's gonna mess up, could we maybe scratch that and put something else in instead? You have around 20 minutes. Is that all right?" That kind of stuff. So it's nice. It's exhilarating. I got better at it now, but in the beginning, it was a bit challenging. So what I do is that I talk to the designer. I ask them, what pieces of clothing do you have? How do you see your own brand? What, one piece really stands out for you, and what do you want the crowd to feel emotion-wise? Because a picture, if a picture stands alone, it doesn't carry much emotion. If it has music with it, then there's more emotion to it. Same goes with a fashion show. If you have a fashion show completely silent, which is beautiful as well, it doesn't have a lot of emotion. And if you just, start playing like devil tritones over that stuff, it'll still get very sinister. Or if you start playing like Benny Hill, it'll get a bit silly. So then I choose the music like a disc jockey, and I'll cut up the music so that it fits in the show.
Using what DAW?
Ableton Live.
Just so we're clear, DAW,
Ableton
digital
Live.
audio workstation, Ableton guy. So you chop up these individual pieces that you've constructed.
Yeah.
And then what do you do with them?
I sometimes play live, so like it depends. Like if the model falls over, or all of a sudden there's 10 more pieces that are going to come on the runway, and we only have 6 minutes of music, I'll start playing live during the show. Not pressing play, but playing on the push. That's one. If it's a really big production, like last weekend, then I'll just press the play button. Like, then I'm scared shitless. Like, I won't play any. I was in backstage and I couldn't even hear the music. I only had a cue, Guido, cue music, cue lights, and we need purple and model 3 and go. And you're just like, you don't mess around there. You'll get fired. So so that's that. In a nutshell, it's a lot of fun. It's very challenging.
I was extremely interested in it. Just having, you don't like doing the DJ thing, but then I've seen some of the venues that you've done your shows at, and they're just
massive,
epic.
Yeah.
And they put, obviously the DJ guy gets his own place in the show because he's the DJ guy, and well,
it's never in front. Like last time, I was literally backstage with the models in the models changing room. That's where they put the DJ booth.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it was nice, but it's not nice when you can't actually see the model go down from the one way and you have to make a fade, but you actually don't know what's going on in the front, except for a really nice lady, Charlotte. You're probably never going to listen, but you're amazing, telling you exactly what's going on. But yeah, so...
I was watching his process, and it's like the session view of Ableton, right?
Yeah.
The clips and automated clip.
Oh, like that. Like, oh yeah. No, it depends. Like sometimes you're in session view, but most of the time you're no. Sometimes you're in arrangement view, but first you fix it in arrangement view. Sorry, I always get those two confused. First you fix it in arrangement view, then you go to session view, and then you just make sure that nothing can go wrong. Like nothing is allowed to go wrong,
and the music just won't stop. It'll be seamless, as they'd say.
Yeah, the person in the audience is not allowed to know that the music is all cut into different pieces and things like that. The person in the audience is only allowed to feel the emotion that is being conveyed with the pieces. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So I got a bunch of more questions here. Those are ones that are just off the top of my head. I definitely have some questions regarding a lot of your gear. Like, I want to know, because obviously a lot of this is analog stuff, right? You have some modules in here.
Yeah.
Give me a rundown on what exactly is in this studio and what you use. And
well, I'm generally speaking an in-the-box type of character. I don't really believe that it's smart to go from digital to analog to digital to analog to digital to analog, because you're going to get like phasing issues eventually over time, and it's very time consuming. However, sometimes you'll be in a project in which you'll use some of the analog gear. So behind you there is the basically where you plug everything in and out. There is a Satori volume controller which has SSL type summing. That's for mixing, and there's another one there, which is we have these two little Proto 2. I don't know what they're exactly called, but it's more for Neve type of summing. So SSL summing is very clean. Neve summing is very dirty. Depending on what you want, you can mess with it. Then in the analog domain, like basically we have the Alloy 2, but then it's actually the Alicia that does it. So you have Alloy 2 from thingy that does the transient thing.
Right?
Yeah, the transient thing.
Right.
We have that one in analog, so it's a little bit more clear and a little bit nicer. So it's really nice at the end of your mix to just tighten things up a tiny little bit. It also has a tilt shift EQ, which is quite nice to use, but it doesn't have a little dip like a Pultec would have. So in that really big black spot, we're going to have a GML 9200 master EQ.
Yeah, you can see it.
Which I thought maybe it's 9500, but it's like it's either 2 or 5, and that's I think an 8-band parametric EQ, which is going to be very nice. So I can dip and cut things out, and it has 0.5 decibel increments, so that's absolutely awesome.
Right.
Then we have a tape machine over there, which is basically
I wish I could show you this tape machine, but it would just mess everything up. But it's just a beast of a compressor over here. It's
a Telefunken tape machine from the 70s somewhere. We have different types of master tape. It's not really used for mastering per se here. It's more used for compressing the low end and the high end together.
Gluage?
Gluage could be a nice one. Yeah. We have a DVX, but it's not plugged in right now, and that's definitely used for drums. I think DVX is the shit for drums. It's just nice. It just makes everything nice. You put it in, you're done. You know, so you put it in with minus 6 dB and it comes out perfectly.
So any of these devices and technical names of these things he's referring to that you're not aware of, rewind, Google it.
Yeah. The thing that ties everything together though is the world clock. You need a world clock if you're in any type of nice situation.
What is a world clock?
It makes sure that everything is synced together. So we have where the studio runs at 48,000 kilohertz, and the world clock basically. Google it.
Google it.
Yeah, it's easier. Right but the whole sound, that's also awesome. You have like mid-range, the close monitors, the Dyna Audio, my little shit checker speaker, which is going to eventually be under the screen here.
Which is like an Oratone kind of replica thing, right?
Horror tone.
Horror tone?
Yeah, because it basically, I call it the shit mix check. If your mix doesn't sound good, if it sounds shit on that speaker, unfortunately you're going to have to go back to the drawing board. So generally speaking, I actually mix on that shit speaker just to do levels and make sure that the basses are still there and things like that. So it's very nice. And all the way in the back,
I don't know if you can see those. If you can't, you're blind. But these stacks of speakers, that's what you're about to refer to, right?
They're from Metaforce. They're a prototype. They're a complete closed system. They're like the NS10s on steroids. And then the NS10s like take the steroids, do a really good diet, and like go tanning. So they're the mastering reference monitors. There's 16 woofers. Like on the outside there's 8 of them, and then the inside there's a couple of them. It's completely closed, and then there's like tweeters that are floating next to it. It's absolutely mental. It's something nice. And then obviously the room itself is completely corrected.
That's another question I wanted to ask. Your sound acoustic treatment is something that totally is escaping my ability to wrap my head around it at this point. And I know it is in and of itself a science that you could study, indefinitely.
Yeah.
And there's literally scientists that are in laboratories doing the whole thing to try and figure out the most ideal way. This place seems to be extremely well acoustically treated. No,
all right.
All right.
Yeah.
to his standards, maybe not so much. But if you could see the diffusion traps, the bass traps in the corners, there's a lot of acoustic treatment going on here.
Yeah.
A lot of the people listening are not going to have professional studios. These are going to be typically bedroom producers. Given your experience, I'm sure you had a bedroom studio at one point. I want to see if I couldn't get some really solid, acoustic treatment 101 for people who are wanting to take that step to make tighten up their rooms.
Okay, well, let's just...
Step one.
Okay, step one is to actually check the size of your room. If the size of your room is relatively small and it's just a box, I don't think it's a wise investment to go crazy building like diaphragmatic absorbers and gigantic diffusers, because you're not going to be able to sit anywhere, and the physics of a sine wave will it'll go through one room, like one wall, then come back, and just it will never really be perfect. So I don't know if it's a wise investment. However,
what's too small?
Let's see. I only speak in meters.
That's fine.
15 square meters.
Google it if you don't know what a meter is.
I think is that correct? Like 15 square meters is like a typical bedroom is probably a bit small. So you need at least 25 square meters to start working.
So the bigger the better.
Yeah, definitely. And also the roof, the ceiling needs to be more than 8 foot, preferably 14 foot. Or you need a fuck ton of absorbing material. or maybe a floating like roof thing. Like basically, my advice would be don't invest in acoustic treatment because you're just going to do your head in. It's never going to be finished. It's never going to be perfect, but you can work on headphones with Sonarworks. Now, I don't work for Sonarworks, but I keep on saying this to people. I think Sonarworks is genius. They give calibrated headphones, so you can buy headphones. We probably already have the headphones, but you can then get headphones that are phase corrected and the EQ curve is flat. So you're not gonna get a better thing in a small bedroom.
What's a layman description of what Sonarworks is?
Oh, it is a correction, a calibration for your headphones and or your room to fix phase. So like, in two waveforms.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's a plugin, right?
It's a plugin, yeah, and it doesn't take much.
Chain,
it doesn't take much CPU either. You can just chuck it on your master chain, and then all of a sudden, all your music will sound like shit. And then you'll be like, oh, this is probably why it doesn't sound good in a car. So when
he says it sounds like shit, meaning it'll
fall flat.
Like you didn't really understand what you had going wrong until you realize how wrong it is.
It's not that it's wrong. It's just you'll all of a sudden realize like, oh wow, this hi-hat is really piercy. Maybe that's probably because your room was not right or your headphones had like a dip there. So you would put up the EQ really high. Like anything above like 2-3 dB would be a bit insane already, unless the source sample's absolutely shit. So what it does is pretty much just flatten the EQ, so that you have a flat EQ response. Every monitor company says, we give a flat EQ response, but they don't take into consideration that it blasts through a room.
Right.
And so, basically those headphones they have like 4 headphones that are calibrated that are really good. I don't know them by heart, but I suggest give them a look and subscribe to them because they always give like 50% discounts.
So what I understand, Sonarworks will ask you to input what type of headphone you're using.
Yeah, they have profiles.
And it will adjust the audio to make the signal as flat and unaffected as possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you'll hear peaks come out and or things disappear. And sometimes you'll even get like, oh man, my mix sounds amazing, and then you've done a great job. So yeah.
Okay, well, producers, after their acoustic treatment ideas, maybe your room's too big or too small, rather.
Yeah, you can always look at Acoustic Fields, the YouTube channel Acoustic Fields. Watch every single video and watch that, and then you'll learn the most for acoustic treatment. Like, I'm not a scientist. But that guy's amazing.
All right, so what would you say some of the biggest mistakes, or maybe I guess if you could look back on your when you were first starting out in music production, what do you think some of the biggest mistakes people just starting out tend to do? That if you could talk to your younger self and be like, stop doing that.
Oh,
what I mean, you could give me a number of examples.
What I would say pick up an instrument and enjoy making music. Don't get so frustrated with sound design. Collaborate with people that know what they're doing. Shut up, you don't know everything. That's one what I would say to I'm talking to myself now, so not the people. So I would just tell myself to not be a know-it-all and shut up and play more instruments, go out more. But I'm introverted, so
you how important is playing an instrument as opposed to a producer who learns his chord progressions and through internet websites?
I think playing an instrument is very beneficial. Like, everybody has their own style, of course, but regardless, I think playing instruments is beneficial because you can think of new ways. Like, for instance, if you play bass, you're never going to ask yourself, oh, what kind of bass line am I going to play? You're never going to have that problem. Like you'll play it. If you play drums, you're never going to have the problem of what kind of rhythm can I play over this? Like, can I play you can play all these weird rhythms, you can have fun with it. So I think if you learn an instrument and always remember I'm a composer, and just try to learn as much like and think in composing ways, because I don't think it's producer, I think it's composer, because producer would be producing somebody else, not for yourself. And yeah, I think that would be my advice to myself. Play more instruments, take notes, and shut up. That's what I would do. Just, yeah, take a lot of notes.
What would you say, Guido, is your strong suit? Like, in terms of audio engineering, what do you feel you're the best at?
Wow. Jesus Christ.
That it can be as simple as I'm an amazing drummer. So if it comes to making,
God, it sounds so weird to say that I'm good at something, because like I never
toot your horn a little bit.
I can never stop learning. So like, that's it. I don't want to stop learning. So every day that is what I'm good at. I will always continuously learn.
So you're good at maintaining an appetite for more knowledge.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's humble and kind of cheesy, but okay.
I can't say anything else. You know what? No. You know what? When I mix drums, they fucking sound great.
Good. That's what I wanted to hear, because I know it's the truth. And then the opposite side of that question, what do you suck at? What do you like?
I cannot sing for the life of me. I tried singing just to like, because I knew the track would need vocals, and then I didn't have a vocalist, and I would do it myself, and I can't do it.
Do you think you could practice?
No, I don't want to even try. I don't want to be in the spotlight, so like as soon as like if I would have to release a track with my vocals and somebody was going to ask who's the vocalist, no.
All right, so let's fast forward, I don't know, 10, 15 years. If you could have an ideal situation, where would you find yourself in 10 years? If everything went the way Guido wanted it to go, where would you be in 10 years from now?
Wow. Well,
at least in your professional career. Don't tell me what kind of house and where it's at.
No, well,
what kind of car you're. Maybe you could tell me what kind of car you drive. That's cool.
No, I'm not really into cars. I would get a motorcycle.
Okay.
But no, what would I be? Where would I be? Well, hopefully my hearing would still be good. Hopefully I would stay as introverted as possible, so I would never have to go to concerts and things like that. Hopefully I would get better earplugs and stuff. But where I want to work with bigger artists. I would love to work with soul artists. I would love that. Like if I could be there somewhere, that would be amazing.
So you'd ideally be a producer for soul artists.
I don't want to be a producer. I would like to be the mixing engineer.
So your ideal gig in audio is being a mix master engineer.
Well, at the same time, I would also love to make beautiful string arrangements,
right?
You know, but I would like to work with artists that are already really, really well off. And
who's your dream collaboration?
Well, for drums, I would love to.
No, just got to be one, and then you can go into the different subcategories. If you had a gun to your head, you can work with one artist, living or dead.
Oh, okay,
living
Jay
or
Dilla.
Dead.
I would love to work with Jay Dilla, and then I would love to go sit with Bob Powers because he was the mixing engineer. I wouldn't do anything. I would just sit there and learn.
Fly on the wall style.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. And I would love to meet Q-Tip to hear him rap on something. I don't know, I would just love to meet these people. If in 15 years, I would just like to even just meet them. That would be amazing. Just to say hi.
Yeah, but I'm giving you the opportunity to work with one of them.
Fuck it.
Who's the one you want to work with the most? Adele?
No. Sorry, Adele. No.
I'm just joking.
No, I would want to work with, I guess, Jay Dilla, but he's dead. But
right.
I would know. Look at what I want to do is work with several artists. So I want Questlove on drums. I want Marcus Miller on bass. I want who I want guitar. I don't know that many guitarists yet. I would like to know more guitarists. And then I want to work with that. And then some really nice key player like Chick Corea or something. Fuck, that would be amazing. Maybe like Erykah Badu on vocals.
Ooh, she's good. She's good.
Man, that would be something.
Who's like, what would you say your main influences are? Who's like somebody that, or even a band or a group that is somebody that you could point to as like, they're one of my major inspirations for going into or
to starting with music? A Noisia, which is
that
hardcore
is a
drum and bass.
Common one.
I like their sound. And I like that I don't understand it, and I'm not going to try and reverse engineer it because they're like these three Dutch guys from Groningen, so I know that the amount of detail they'll go into, because I'm Dutch myself, and North, I don't know, I just know, I can feel it. I love listening to their stuff here and just sitting here and just like, so much detail. But yeah, what was your question again? Sorry, I like Noja. I got excited.
Let's just keep moving forward. Okay, so let's see about in YouTube realm.
Oh yeah.
Who do you feel like you appreciate? Who in that whole, whether it's tutorials, whether it's
I can tell you.
It's a huge industry, and it's something that's really interesting.
I have a gigantic man crush right now on Ian Shepherd. I have a man crush on him. I love this guy. He has the show called The Mastering Show, and
Ian Shepherd.
He is so wise. He is such a wise, well-spoken, sometimes can get a little bit pissed off kind of guy, and he's just really, really good at what he does. And I love that guy. So that's somebody I look up to a lot. Yeah.
And then there's obviously tons that we won't mention that you just don't have any time for.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's a shame that I started reverse engineering, and then sometimes you see all these other companies that are now selling Ableton templates in the styles of the ones that are really easy to remake. Right. And then I'm always like, yeah. Like I'm always thinking like, yeah, you could have done a little bit better. You could have done something else.
Where could so you have these bedroom producer types that are making their loops and then their completed track every now and then, and they're starting to progress and potentially they feel like doing a YouTube video or two. What do you think is I guess alternate revenue sources is more or less what I'm looking for, because I know that anybody who is making beats in their bedroom, the ideal situation is Skrillex's label signs you and you become a mega millionaire, but the chances of that happening are little to none.
Oh yeah.
So how could a bedroom producer start to earn money based on a skill that they're say they've gotten pretty good, they have a few years, almost myself, I could say, what is something a person like myself could do to start making money other than being signed to a major label?
I think the guy to look at for this kind of information is Buddy Vogt, who's another Dutch guy, which is fucking weird, but
I know Booty.
Yeah.
I don't know him personally, but he's got some good stuff. He's got a podcast also.
Yeah, you need to look at the business side a lot into I'm not the guy to answer that question per se, but I would just look at your own skill set and do the advice that was given to me when I was down in the shitter was get good at one particular thing. Just get ridiculously good so that people will ask for your expertise, and that will eventually in turn into something. And just follow your heart as well. Like if you don't enjoy doing certain things, have fun. Don't fucking do it. But don't be a pissy little bitch. Like if you don't know how to program basses, pick up a bass and learn how to play bass. It's not in the sound design. It's in, or when you get stuck, the reason why you get stuck is because you're stuck mentally. You can't go anywhere else because you don't know anything else. So I think that would be, to make money, you have to learn. To make money, you have to listen and shut up and take notes. And then eventually it turns into something.
Your story, you would say that you originally, like your first YouTube videos were you wanting to just pass on some information that you...
Yeah, you have to just, from the love of it, because I did it for Joseph. I just said Joseph wanted to know how to do chord progressions, so I did some chord progressions.
And then Ableton picks it up and posts it to their site. And
yeah, that was pretty crazy. I didn't know what else to do after that. Because, I was just a guy with a cat. I didn't have anything else. So, yeah.
How do you say an artist would be able to differentiate himself from the next artist? Everybody wants to sound like the most...
Well, don't sound like anybody else. So that's a big problem. I think mixes nowadays are too clean. There's no mistakes in it. Like sometimes, we're like back in the 80s. You know what I mean? When the digital thing just came on, you had these overproduced snares and... Yeah, obviously there's some really good stuff in the 80s that was made, like George Clinton would embrace the funk and make something crazy stuff. But there was also some things where you're just like, God, you should have just not done that and just being yourself. So the big tip would be yourself and make mistakes and leave
Like
those mistakes in.
There is some beauty in imperfection.
It's great beauty. Like most people will, like Flying Lotus popped out of nowhere with that type of beat making, and it's not that it was complex, but the overall mixing was so out of the ordinary that people liked it. The same with like Primus, which was a band back in 1995. They didn't have a mixing engineer. They just fucking recorded it.
See, that is something so interesting to me. So you have the idea of, for instance, reference tracks. So you've completed your track and you want to have it mixed and or mastered, and you either don't have the resources to have that done,
or the sound, or the place to hear
exactly.
what's wrong.
So how do you feel about using reference tracks? It's almost like what you just said, that maybe don't try and sound like another sound.
No, the reference track, it's what I use it for is to see how mono compatible, how the sides are, how much dynamic is in the track, and then when I know like the basics, then I'll look at I just try to imagine all the audio tracks and what every track is doing, and then I just look at the other track, and then I see like, okay, this track is this loud in the bass section of, and then that's
so not getting
it's
too...
no, it's like, I hate saying this, but it's like cooking. And I hate that I just said that. There's nothing like cooking. But it's you're trying to... Painting, maybe. You're trying to paint two things together. But really putting emphasis on the artist. The original artist. So, like, if you're a producer, really, if you like a certain sound, then just go for it. Like, if you like having 3 kicks...
playing at once,
or like going all over the place, somebody else is eventually going to like it, and give yourself breaks as well. Like, if you will always fall in love with your first production, give it about a week, listen to it again, see if you still like it. If you don't, give it another week, see if you still like it. If you really still don't like it, you probably messed up. You're probably going to have to redo something there. Yeah. So yeah.
All right, let's talk about I have one good one this is an issue for a lot of people, all kinds of creative minds. Creative block. The idea of sitting down, wanting to get some work done creatively and not being able to, or having, and that's another question I have, is the idea of distractions. So first off, let me ask you about, what do you do when you find yourself creatively blocked?
I get out of the studio, I go for a walk, I take a nap. I just try to get my head to calm down, because like you're gonna try and and eventually you're just like, ugh, I can't deal with it anymore. So I try to not deal with it at that moment in time. A couple of go-tos that I do. 1, work on another project. Just forget about the project that you're stuck at. 2, don't forget about the project you're stuck at and really sit at it and try to figure out why it would suck ass and or not. You're stuck most likely because you're not educated in a field that you want to be. You can hear it and you can feel it, but you can't produce it. And that's just because you don't know what is wrong. And you have to go out, and it's going to take time, So don't beat yourself up too much. But educate.
And then my second question to that is, given today's digital age, it's not the analog digital conversation. This is about the Facebook, the Twitter distractions, the wife that wants you to bring eggs home, the rent that needs to be paid, but she said she put the in the thing. Yeah. What's your policy to just getting down and getting work done?
Turn off the internet and your phone. Lock the door. And put on, this helps, put on a timer. And you're only allowed to leave your desk spot without internet and anything else when the timer's done. And you'll be amazed at how much you can do. You only give yourself half an hour at first, because it'll probably be a little bit too crazy to be that intense with one thing. But if you put a timer for 1 hour, for instance, eventually, you'll be amazed with how much you can get done.
Totally love that. I went to IKEA. They have it's a clock thermometer, alarm clock, and timer.
Yeah.
So I do, my wife is in another room doing a lot of school work right now. She's in school. So we do these things called power hours. And I turn the little clock, says 59.59, starts counting down. And that for that 1 hour, I am completely focused. And I literally, because there'll be moments where I'm like, do I want to play my video game? Or, let me check my email real quick. But when I look at that clock, I know that I can do that, but not for another 27 minutes or another. and this has been something I've only been doing in the last just few months, but I'm amazed at how productive you can be by just just being strict about what you do with your time. An hour, and I recommend that, the power hour. And
the power hour.
You could possibly go 2 hours.
But after that, take the power nap.
Right.
Or do the power something else, because it's not going to be good for your head to continuously go hour.
I don't know what if it's some books that I read. A book that I read that stated that anybody who does that kind of intense kind of work can only maintain it for, I think it's like violin, concert violinists were the ones that they were talking about. And these violinists are, what's the one in New York City, the Philharmonic
Orchestra, Philharmonic something.
Anyway, literally the LeBron James of violinists. They are only able to practice at this high intensity level for about 4.5 hours a day.
Yeah, man, that will do your head in. Like eventually, your ears get so tired that like you don't know what you're listening to anymore, and that at that moment you're fucked. So yeah, because there's like some fluid in your ear or something, and that burns like your metabolism really fast. Like it's just really. I just heard this thing.
Google it.
I don't know where. Oh no, it's on Isotope. On isotope.inc, there's like this doctor. The show is called Headroom, and there's this doctor, and he explains why, like from a doctor's point of view, about your ear. So if you have like tinnitus and that kind of crap, then watch that show. Headroom Part 1, I think it's called.
Headroom Part 1.
Yeah, on Isotope.
Oh, and Isotope's got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. It's good.
Their how-to stuff and their good stuff. This is the $1 million question, but I've upgraded it to the $1 billion question because, as far as I can say, $1 million really isn't that much money anymore. Well,
I would take $1 million any day, man.
But I'm talking about complete lifelong financial security. So $1 billion just ended up in your. So you had a Swiss uncle.
Oh, wow.
Just got a phone call from your lawyer. Guess what? Sven, your Swiss uncle, you didn't know about, apparently, just passed away, and he's left you a B in billion.
Oh, man.
So you have $1 billion. Are you still an audio engineer?
Yeah.
And okay, so the $1 billion, how does that look like? Are you still here?
Oh, no.
I
would most likely buy out the owner's equipment and I would buy a yacht, and then in that yacht, I would build a gigantic recording studio. Actually, no. Yeah, no, I would. And then in that recording studio, I would like make pretty much this room again, but then just a lot better acoustic treatment. So I would get the guy from Acoustic Fields, and I'll tell him, you have whatever budget you want, make me a completely perfect acoustic treated room so I don't need Sonarworks. That would be amazing. And then I would just do that.
Well, it's funny because I've had the same thought of like I would make it a really incredible studio somewhere, maybe a couple in different parts, but the idea of having it on a boat where you could then just take it wherever,
Yeah, man. Not a boat, dude.
Kanye's
a yacht. And I would live with the captain. I'll ask the captain to just take me around to nice places so that when I would go outside for my little power nap or power walk, I can be in a different island.
I love having these little thoughts, but then you come back to reality and you're like, that's just
reality's not so bad, Like I have a bicycle, I cycle to my little, job along the river. That's not so bad either.
What would you recommend new and upcoming producing a track is one thing, but say you got the track done, what would you recommend people to do to learn the art of mixing and mastering? Reverse
engineering. That taught me so much. that really taught me a lot. Well, it taught me a lot, but at the same time, you need to remember that I'm always trying to learn and pick new things up.
Well, in terms of mixing and mastering, what's a brief breakdown on how you would, in fact, use reverse engineering to teach you how to mix and master?
Because when you reverse engineer, you'll notice that you can't actually produce the exact same sound without mixing and mastering it.
Right.
So,
Right. So if you hear a certain portion of the song and you implement those elements into your own piece that you're reverse engineering, you'll realize that without, whether it's side chaining or EQing in a certain way, that you can't achieve that sound without doing X or Y.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like you're gonna have to use the compressor. You're gonna have to use like a stereo bus or, rear bus, as Andrew Sheps would like. You have to do it. Like if you it's just no other way around it. There was a mixing engineer, or if it's a song by just a bedroom producer, you're not gonna have to do that much. You're just gonna have to do a shit ton of sound design, and that's it. But if you then mix it, it will sound way better than the original artist. I didn't say that.
Do you know how long we've been going? I don't want to keep you. I don't want to keep you forever.
It's okay.
It is 3:30.
Yeah, well, we still have some time.
How long have we been going? Do you know?
Less than an hour.
Cool. Then I still got more questions.
Go ahead.
The idea of mixing in mono.
Yeah.
Do you do it?
Yes.
And how often and when in the mix do you go, ooh, mono button?
Oh, every time I get a job in, or a klus in Dutch, so that's why I say job. It's not a job. And when somebody asks me to mix their song, the first thing I'll do is I have a dedicated mono button. I go through every system, so the big ones, these ones, and the small one. I check where it falls flat on its ass. So the mid-side mono thing, that's quite... So, and then eventually, when I fix all the problems, that's when I'll go into mono to set levels. So like as soon as everything's like more centered and normal, then I'll do the level checking with mono. Then at the same time, I'll EQ. And then I think 80% is done in mono, 70% maybe. And then I'll go into stereo and do another 70%.
That's not good at math, but I won't even
Makes
go
total
there.
sense. You got to go 140%, man. You got.
Okay, we got, and then this is a question I wanted to understand. Yeah. I've noticed a lot of the big players in whether it's YouTube producers, they tend to use PCs. I've noticed not a lot of them have Macs. What's your feeling on Mac PC?
I use the superior Master Race Hackintosh.
So you're a combination of the two.
I'm a combination of the two. Yeah, obvious.
Would you recommend that being like? What's the benefits to being both Windows and Mac?
I am not like good at. Okay, I had a PC once, and I, sinned and got some programs that I didn't pay for, and I felt terrible about it. And my
was a pirate.
I was a pirate. Har. No, and basically my PC just died. So I thought to myself, well, what software doesn't have that kind of process? So I went into Mac, and then I kind of, when I learn something new, I have to latch onto it. And it really interested me that I didn't have to pay that much money, but would get like super amount of performance. And the reason why I like Apple so much is because I can run like I don't know how many programs at the same time, and it's never going to go
right.
Yeah. I don't know if PC things are like that, so no disrespect. But in my opinion and how I felt with it, it didn't work for me. I am not smart enough to have a PC. Or a PC, personal computer, a Windows thing. I can't have Windows. I'm not smart enough for that. I'm smart enough to build a computer and run Hackintosh.
Well, I was going to say that's saying a lot because asked me to start building a computer, and it's.
By the way, and that being said, I'm smart enough to find somebody to build it for me.
Well said. A concept that I have heard is pretty popular, but yet I'm still trying to wrap my head around how you go about doing it and being successful at it. The idea of doing work for free. Especially when you're starting out. So you're a beginning in whether it's ghostwriting beats, whether it's mixing, whether it's mastering, whether it's doing anything to get your name out there how do you feel about the idea of free
I don't
work?
think you should do it for free. I mean, you're what the fuck, you know? I don't like. Okay, if you're completely shit, go be an intern somewhere, but don't do things for free. There's no point of doing things for free. It's actually ruining the market. You know, there's people trying to like make a living, and then there's all these people that say like, "Yo, I can master yo shit," but it comes out like shit. You know what I mean? And it's just, I think it's dumb. I think if you're talented, you shouldn't do things for free. Period. But that being said, I do think you should just be open and share your knowledge. But then, like, if somebody asks me, yo, can you make me a beat? Can you also mix it? Can you also master it? Can you maybe do the promotions for me? And then I'll go on tour. All right, fuck off. No, I think that's a dick thing to do. No, it's not okay. It's you're a talented individual, and you need to, respect yourself.
So in what case would you find yourself, like maybe if it's somebody who's also done favors for you and then I might mix that track, or like a favor kind of thing you'd see yourself.
Oh, you can do the
at.
favor market thing and then work for somebody and you scratch my back, I scratch yours. That's fine. Like, that's okay. But as long as you get something back and you don't get fucked over in the end, it's okay. I think that's the point. Like, as long as you don't absolutely get screwed. Because that's not a nice feeling for anybody. Except for the guy screwing you, maybe, if he likes it. If he's gay. Like that. Sorry, no disrespect.
Let's start by having you provide your info that people can contact you. Anybody who might, if you have the finances, because he's not free, doesn't do free work, but he's definitely very capable. If any of you guys are feeling like you might want to you have a track that this is going to be the one that's going to set you apart from the rest. It just needs to be mixed and mastered, and you want someone to do that for you. This is a guy I would definitely recommend. Do me a favor and go ahead and provide contact info for them.
Just email me CatAndBeats@gmail.com, and then I'll answer you. And it's just to add on top of that, I'll film the whole process. So if I'm gonna mix your track, it's a two-way thing. It's not I'll mix your track. Here's a mix track. All right, cheers. So no, it's a continuous thing. I will literally take you by the hand and show you everything I've done. So this way you learn more. And
right. So to clarify what he said, he's going to, in fact, he'll receive your track, and as he's mixing it, will actually record himself doing the session
and talk shit
the whole time. So he's, ooh, I think it needs this, and ooh, I'm gonna pull this, blah blah blah, and blah blah blah, and ooh, maybe this, that, and the other thing.
Yep.
So this is a mixing mastering service. Yep. What else would you provide if somebody?
Well, co-production as well. So if I'm asked to, can you maybe produce it a little bit here and there? It's like just to help the production along. I'll help you with that as well. So I'll literally, sometimes you get a piano in and it's completely cut off, so I'll just replay another piano in. But I think almost all mixing engineers.
Is that co-production? What do they call that?
I don't know. They call that. I didn't have the right stem, so I had to play it in again. And then I just added a few notes, but no worries.
I'm trying to think. There isn't a word for, like, you're obviously not just doing the mixing and mastering. You're actually doing some of the production. So at what point do you then get those co-producer rights? I guess that's a negotiation that you have with the artist, or
it's a silent negotiation.
Okay, so some ghostwriting options. If you have a track that needs some tightening up, maybe, like you said, your piano sucks, or you have whatever it needs some life, he definitely has those capabilities. Also your YouTube channel, which is
CatAndBeats. Again, everything's CatAndBeats.
Everything's CatAndBeats, and if you search CatAndBeats, it's like literally it's one of the top searches, aside from
cats with
cats. And
what is one word, by the way? If you do like 2 words, then it's just a bunch of cats. I didn't think about this when I started out. I would have done something like more unique, but I never thought about it. So.
But I think that's the best. It's like you didn't assume that it was going to be some success, and then it is, and it's working in its form.
Yeah, I really never thought I would sit in a place like this.
It's incredible.
I think
I'll get proper video, because there's actually a Studio B, which is another place that I haven't even showed, and I'll hopefully be able to get photos and whatnot. I guess maybe resources. What can you potentially offer our listeners or viewers as material, whether it's books, particular YouTube channels, any kind of solid resources that you are holy grail about?
There's Acoustic Fields, Room Treatment, Ian Shepherd's Mastering, Pensado's place, but you probably already know that. Watch all the Into the Layers. For bass lessons, go to Scott's Bass. For drums, it's like Eric's Drums or some shit like that. Google so if you like a song that much, you're like, oh, this artist is amazing. Google the mixing engineer, and you'll probably discover that he will have also mixed for other people, and all of a sudden you'll kind of get this similar sound, and you're like, oh, maybe it's the mixing engineer that's responsible for part of this beautiful sound that the person likes. Google those things, Google their talks. Red Bull Music Academy is pretty cool. Go to the Amsterdam Dance event, go to events, go to producer events as much as you can. Get educated. Just don't stop educating yourself. And
have fun.
and don't take yourself too serious. It's all fun and games.
Okay, then maybe any last words? Anything you want to pass on to the groups and groupies before we
I've only worked with one female, so I don't think there's going to be many groupies, but if there's any female no, I'm married, my wife is going to kill me,
right?
But,
ring, look at the ring, ladies.
No, man, just be yourself. Don't worry so much, don't do so much sound design. That's it, I think. I don't know, man, do whatever you want to do.
And if you need any of his services, obviously contact through CatAndBeats at Gmail. Check out his YouTube channel, subscribe, like, all that stuff, and check out his website. Website includes downloadable projects of reverse engineered songs, as I understand it.
Yeah.
And
you can drop your project files. I'll give it a listen, and I'll see if I can help or not.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, so like he said, drop some stuff on him, and if it sparks his fancy, you might get a reply, and
you'll always get a reply.
You guys might get it. Oh, so you'll always get a reply. So remember that he said that. So if you don't. He said it, wasn't me. I guess that's good, and it's been good talking to you guys. It's been good talking to him.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Handshake. Nice. Cheers.